Welcome to another latest transfer rumours roundup. Check out our other videos or audio podcasts in this series for a look at the likes of goalkeeper Michael Cooper, Tyrese Campbell, Joe Worrell, Carl Rushworth, Matt Ritchie, Matt Grimes, Paul Dummett, and many more. We begin today with Josh BOWLER, 25 years young. He's 5'9", great height for a man, contracted to Nottingham Forest until the 30th of June 2025. Some strong links with him, and if we go back through his previous career, he was released by Fulham as a youngster. He spent 2 years at the then newly established Aldershot FC Academy before its closure in 2013, so he would move to QPR in their youth team in that year, becoming a full-time pro in March of 2017. He would make one appearance for QPR. He would then get some time at Everton, but not playing a first-team game for the Toffees. He would go on loan to Hull City in 1920 season, playing 28 games, scoring once. Then it was a proper move to Blackpool. 49 appearances between 21-2022 season in all competitions, 9 goals. He would then go to Forest, then on loan to Olympiacos. Blackpool, he would go back, but again on loan this time. And last season, Cardiff City, where he did all right, but we'll get to some more detail about how he did last season. Josh played 25 minutes or so in an end-of-season game under Ian Holloway when he was just 17 at QPR, was rated at the time as a higher prospect than young BRIEN, and at the time there was a lot of hype around him from Hoops fans. At Blackpool he was considered a very good ball carrier, and last season, as I mentioned, he was at Cardiff City on loan, 38 appearances overall, 2,394 minutes of playing time, and by doing the research for this I feel like I've watched every single one of those minutes. 30 times he was a starter across the 46 fixtures, subbed on 8 times, and he scored 5. And he got 1 assist. He was the club's 3rd top goal scorer, which I think says more about Cardiff City's lack of firepower last season in front of goal than it does about Josh's own goal return. So what kind of player is he? Well, he's direct. He's skillful, not fond of the defensive side of the game, according to some reports I've read. Some say he works hard at times, but not all the time, and doesn't always offer much protection to his fullback. But that isn't always going to be the job of a winger. He's an inverted right winger primarily because he's left-footed, but he can use his right. The clips I saw, he rarely went to take on a man on the outside, round the outside, preferring to cut inside. And I always think you can only do that so many times before you become predictable and easy to defend against. Certainly in the Premier League, you get found out very easily with that kind of trick. Maybe a few will fall for it in the Championship, but I would be surprised if he ever makes it to the very top level unless he changes the way he plays. Maybe, therefore, he'd be stronger playing as a left winger rather than on the right. A traditional beat your man, whip in across type winger. A career breakdown of this position and others that he's played in kind of looks like this. He's played as a right winger 93 times, 18 goals, 8 assists. Played on the left 26 times, scoring once. He's played on the right midfield, so further back than a winger, 23 times, 3 goals, 2 assists. He's played centrally 4 times in the midfield and as an attacking midfielder, and further back just once. A surprisingly low number of assists, though, looking at that. He only attempts 22 passes per 90, well, did last season based on the figures that I was looking at. And you're only as good as your most recent season in football. So this, for me, looks like a Chris Wilder dream loan signing as I can fix him kind of thing. He does have a high pass completion rate. That's something I will say about him. 75% throughout last season. Not someone that gives the ball away often at all. But Cardiff fans said he lacks consistency. Defensive work sometimes lacking. So he could be a confidence player. And, Wilder's good with players like that. Last season, only completing 1.5 of his take-ons per 90, while in the 21-22 season, he completed 3.3 per 90, so he's regressing there. Also creating a lot less with 2.5 shots per actions per 90 last season and 0.8 key passes per 90, whereas if we compare him with that successful 21-22 season, he had 3.5 shot-creating actions and 1.25 key passes per game, so he was better in 21-22. However, he's still a clinical finisher, outperforming his XG by 0.05 per 90. One Cardiff fan, Simon, said, Josh started well, but then got injured, and his body language was different and he wasn't so impactful. He also let us down against Swansea. Captain Morgans on the S2-4SU forum said looked excellent against us 2 or 3 seasons ago. He was one I would have wanted back then, especially at a young age, but Forest were hoovering up anybody half decent at the time. Hasn't really kicked on since Blackpool, but there's a player in there. My memory of him was that he was very confident picking up the ball and running with it, a direct player. The stats I've found suggest that is absolutely correct. Reese of beautiful downtown Bramall Lane on the forum said, no. The kind of high-wage mediocrity that led us to League One the last time we plummeted. No. Either sign a good young Prem talent or a loan or make a genuine investment in a player like Liam Miller. Okay, that's the end of that one there. Now, it's quite an interesting goal that he scored against Watford. A left foot strike from just inside the area that is worth searching out. An absolute thriker, as Alan Partridge would say. That was when on loan at Cardiff last season. And this is what his then manager, Errol Bullett, said about him. Josh has to believe in himself. We've spoken to him many times, my assistant too. He has the quality, 1 against 1, but he has to use it. I speak with him a lot about everyone knowing he's left-footed. Sometimes you've got to go on your right. We train it every time. He has to dribble on the outside. He has to use his right foot to maybe make the assist or score a goal, end quote. Cardiff fans have shared their thoughts. Cardiff boy 1995. He was one of only a few players we had that could turn a fullback inside out. CCFC Wellman said, I expected a lot more from him, but has only shown flashes. 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗶𝗲-15, he can show flashes of magic. 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗃, great name, said, I think in part his injury impacted his season as well as Bullets insisted on prioritising defensive cover for his fullback. Sneggy Bluebird said, I don't rate him at all. Most wingers have a trick or two, but think most players that run at him have enough, or maybe they have COVID because they seem to stay aware and he rarely gets close enough to any of them. Seems to be a player that takes a bit of flack from fans at times. I'd imagine, from reading these quotes, that's the end of the quotes there, that maybe sometimes he's infuriating, maybe other times mercurial. Liam Cooper next. What can I say about Liam Cooper? A few things, but you know what will hold more weight? It's words from former manager Marcelo Bielsa, because no one summed up the man better than Bielsa, who heaped praise upon him in 2019. He was, of course, title-winning Leeds United club captain, leader on and off the pitch. Bielsa said, it's not up to me to describe the virtues the player recognised in him when they chose him as captain, but I can tell you about what I'm impressed about. You can't find a better professional than Liam Cooper. He feels love from his profession, apart from the fact that it's not just his job. He's generous and prioritises the needs of his teammates before his own. He is always very present in times of adversity. The captain has to be a good person. The values our captain transmits are summed up in the fact Cooper is more interested in collective well-being of the team than his own well-being. If you combine generosity and humility, it makes him an example for all of us. Quite the quote. So, who is Liam Cooper? A free agent now, 32, left-footed, 6'2". He's a centre-back who's played left-back 5 times in his career. I'd say those days are probably behind him. Otherwise, it's 300 and, checks notes, 63 appearances, 18 goals, 7 assists. If we look at stats, attributes and percentiles from last season, he's a good passer of the ball with 89.9% passing accuracy while not being afraid to progress the ball with 4.59 progressive passes per 90, 1.53 blocks and 1.78 interceptions per 90, ranking him highly amongst championship defenders. Definitely not a dribbler of the ball, only completing 0.13 take-ons per 90. But while Cooper wins a lot of aerial duels, he also loses a lot, giving him a success rate of just 57%, which is actually fairly low for a championship centre-back. Seems to have slowed down last season as well. Leeds fans, the ones I spoke to, seemed fairly happy for him to go. He's had his fair share of injuries, had a foot injury, a hamstring injury, a chest injury, groin injury, calf strain, another couple of groin injuries in the 1920 season, a bad knee injury, and a hamstring injury. Joe Wayman of the Just Joe YouTube channel, who's always helping us out, and we're very grateful to Joe for that. He said this, Liam Cooper is a legend in my eyes. He's been with the club, Leeds United, for nearly 10 years, and it's unfortunate that he won't receive a testimonial due to his departure before reaching that milestone. Cooper has been a constant presence through both the challenging times and the successes. Having joined during the Cellino era, his leadership played a crucial role in guiding Leeds back to the Premier League. Despite not always receiving the respect he deserves from some sections of the fan base, often referred to as League One Liam, let's acknowledge that he was a Premier League defender for several seasons and even captained the team during that period. He can be erratic at times. I consider him rock solid and believe he still has much to offer in this division. His experience would be invaluable to any team aiming for promotion. I'll certainly miss him and wish him success with the Blades if that happens, just not at Leeds' expense. Good luck, Skip. Love ya. End quote. Let's talk about Lewis O'Brien, another Forest player that we've been linked with, and we've been linked with him before. His contract expires 30th of June 2026. He's a midfielder. Can you ever really have too many of those? Well, yes. But of course, it depends on who we're going to lose. So anyway, I mean, Lewis is 25, 5'8", fantastic height for a man. Lewis is left-footed. He can play defensive midfield or attacking midfield. Born in Colchester, but actually began his career with Huddersfield Town at the age of just 11. He was named Academy Player of the Year when he was older in 2017-18. You do the maths. After signing a new 3-year contract with Huddersfield in 2018, he moved on loan to Bradford City, which actually at the time I remember was met with a bit of controversy from both sets of supporters. He's also played for Nottingham Forest. He joined them after that. 13 appearances, 1 goal. DC United in America. Yeehaw! 2023 season, 17 appearances, 1 goal. And last season, Middlesbrough on loan, 21 appearances, no goals. Very much a well-rounded midfielder, though, whose career's really stalled at Forest, as so many players have, because they did buy so many. Comfortable on the ball, 85% passing accuracy, progressive passes of 4.91 per game, while getting the ball into the final third 4.8 times per 90. Add to that, he's one of the best progressive carriers in the Championship. He's in the 72nd percentile, which is very good for progressive carries, and 88th percentile, which is brilliant for carries in the final third, both 2.17 per 90. Shows he is a player who likes to progress the ball and get forward. Also, strong defensively, winning 1.7 tackles per 90. He has 1.6 blocks per 90 and 1.37 clearances, all ranking him highly amongst some of the best Championship midfielders. As of last season, he wasn't the most creative, that's fair to say, only contributing to 2.2 shot creating actions per 90 with Middlesbrough. His career with Huddersfield, 131 games, 8 goals, 10 assists. Bradford, he played a full season, 4 goals, 3 assists. Middlesbrough, it was 25 appearances, no goals, just the 1 assist. Now, you would expect a midfielder so highly rated to be amongst the goals. I would expect more. I would expect more assists. But he is a playmaker. He's a controller in the middle of the park. Apparently, he's a very good singer as well. You know, could be useful for team morale. That's why Everton kept Michael Ball for so long. Finally, in this roundup, Harry Souttar. If you were expecting more players, I've run out. Harry Souttar is 25. He'll be 26 on the 22nd of October. Born in Aberdeen, but an Australian international. He is 6'7". I'm not having that. Souttar began his senior career with Dundee United before moving to England with Stoke in 2016. He then joined Leicester City in 2023. After initially representing Scotland at youth level, he switched to play for Australia in 2019. He was actually a member of the World Cup squad in 2022. His brother John plays for Scotland. His mother Heather was born in Australia. That's how he qualifies. When he was with Stoke, he did suffer a very serious injury. It was the 2021-2022 season. It was a cruciate ligament tear, and he was out for 339 days. Wow. But he is an out-and-out centre-back when fully fit. Nothing else. Don't expect anything other than being a no-nonsense centre-back. He's played as a centre-back 183 times, 8 goals, 10 assists, a danger from set pieces. He's right-footed, great at jumping. That jumping reach, no real surprise. Naturally good in the air. Decent at marking. Good positioning and tackling. He's not fast, but he's strong. Good stamina. Works hard for the team. As I say, he's a no-nonsense centre-back. Also worth noting, the 25-year-old joined Leicester on a 5.5-year contract from Stoke in 2023, January 2023, for £15 million. That's a lot of money. He made a dozen appearances in the Premier League, but never really got a look in after Enzo Maresca took charge. Last season was a disaster in terms of playing time. You know, I wanted to get a good indicator of who Harry Souttar is, and The most consistent run he had in a team in the Championship, because we're in that league, so I wanted to look at that, we'd have to go all the way back to the Stoke City season, 2020-2021. I know it's a little while ago, but he played 38 matches that season, scored once, 3 assists, and accurate per game passes, 72%. He was accurate in his own half as well, 86% of the time. He had accuracy in the opposition half, just 50%. He played some accurate long balls, 43% of the time. He even had 45% accurate chipped passes. But the defending's what really interested me from these stats. 15 clean sheets, 1.4 interceptions per game, over a tackle per game, 1.1. Dribbled pass per game, how many people got past him? Just 0.3. 5.3 clearances per game, which is good. He won 70% of his duels in games. Ground duels won 61%. Aerial duels won, as you'd expect, it's high, 74%. We've been linked with other players. There's more to come next time, but I need to lie down.